Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of the Trisbrina Show, where we have a juicy topic. It's unplanned spontaneity. Now, isn't, by the very definition of it and the very nature of being spontaneous, unplanned? Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Because we found that by having a plan, sometimes it opens the door to more spontaneity. Sometimes when you have a plan, a structure, and a process, you can be more emotionally in flow. You can engage more. You can react more. You can be more in the moment. So that's what we're going to dive into, this unplanned, planned spontaneity.
I love this topic. Now, I think the reason that we got on this riff was it yesterday that we did the interview with Ajit, or was it the day before?
Day before.
It's been a very busy week. So
yesterday was the photo shoot.
Oh yeah, we had a photo shoot. We got some good new photos. So we were being interviewed for coaches, talking about techniques, master coach level stuff that's been developed over the years, and was there anything we could present to Ajit's audience for EverCoach? And so we were like, yeah, absolutely. What would you like to talk about? And he said, well, I'd rather not plan for it. I'd rather allow for spontaneity. And I was like, awesome. That's so like in our lane. Mm-hmm. But we need a little bit of information so that we can be planned to be unplanned in spontaneity.
And sometimes it's easier to be spontaneous when interviewing guests on your podcast when it is the 75th episode.
Yeah, that's true. He already had some planned questions that would allow for unplanned responses.
Yeah.
That was what was really cool. And then it got us to thinking about all the years of training in dance and martial arts, and how there are moments where you have no idea what's going to happen next, and you have to be so right there and be spontaneous. Maybe you guys can relate where some of the best moves that you've ever made, the best things that you've ever said, you actually didn't plan for that. It was spontaneous.
And I think the opposite of that feeling for me at times in my life, I've wanted to plan everything because I didn't trust myself. I was afraid of losing control.
Right.
Like, what if I'm out of control? I couldn't take that feeling. It felt very panicky for me. But with acting, of course, there's improv, which is totally off the cuff, but just regular great acting. If it's not spontaneous, then what are you doing? Memorizing a sentence in a sing-songing way? But that every single time you go, "Hi, where did you go? I thought you'd be here sooner," right? And it always sounds like that, where learning to be in the moment and to actually energetically respond off of what the other person is giving me. I might say those words, but it's going to be spontaneously a completely different delivery from me energetically, a surprise to myself and the other actor.
It's such a beautiful conversation because we all want to be spontaneous, don't we? We want to be in the moment. And I think that's a key element. Being present in the moment births spontaneity. But if you also have skill, and you mentioned like having a process and certain things that, structure, that's been pre-planned and that you've worked with those skills and tools, that's automated now, that's inside you now. Yeah. The art of presence, it gives you access to that. See, I've tried to be planned for presentations. I've tried to be, for my webinar and my 56 slides that I'm going to walk through and all of that stuff. And you can do that, and it can be very, micro planned, and it can deliver a result for sure. And there are times that you've got to follow structure. If you're a member in an orchestra, you need to follow the plan, right? But let's say you're a freestyle guitarist and you're with the band, and they're like, hey, let's play this song tonight. And you're like, yeah, I think I can rock to that. I can jam to that. But you have to be in the moment. But you have access to this depth of skill set. And the only way to get to that, though, is to be present.
Yeah. But even if you were in let's say a choir, or you're a concert, what did you say? Pianist, or you're one of the violins in an orchestra, there is a conductor that is deciding and determining Where will it swell? Where will it be quiet? When will those instruments start? What are we doing now?
It is alive.
And so I think there's an agreement that we will tap into the spontaneity of the musical director, and within the guidelines that we have according to the music that we're given, freely express what is being asked of us, like a follower in a dance, if you're the follower.
Yeah, you should talk about that because, in dance, like we're talking about ballroom, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Like it seems that the man is the leader and you're the follower, is the woman.
Somebody's the leader.
Somebody's the leader. So somebody's leading the steps.
Because they're moving forward, right? The person moving forward should lead.
But let's say that I was leading. Not that I should be, but let's say that I was leading. And for a change, you weren't leading me in love. How does the other person respond, and is spontaneity involved in that?
Well, there's if you're dancing with someone and they are leading and you are the follower, you are an empty slate, because you are going to respond to their rhythm, you're going to respond to their direction, you're going to respond to the artistry that they convey through the lead. But you're not going to do a tango step if it's a waltz, right? So that was really funny for me when
there's structure.
Yeah, when a coach would say, I thought follow. There's like 10,000 things that might happen. How will I ever be a good follower? And they're like, oh no, if it's waltz, it's going to be usually a backward step, left or right or diagonal. Like it was much more narrowed down, the spontaneity. It was like be spontaneous between these 6 things, but then the flavor.
So that's interesting. So there's sort of there's guidelines that allow you to go into a place of spontaneity. Safety. So we know what lane we're in.
Because how can you express, we're using like artistically, because it's just such an easy way to talk about it, and creatively. How can you express yourself fully artistically and creatively unless there's a
template,
a means to do so?
Right?
Like through a step, through a transfer of weight, right? Dancing is just a series of transfers of weight. Transfer your weight to one foot, you transfer your weight to the other foot, you might be on both feet for a moment, and then that's all it is, transferring weight. You can go forward, back, side, diagonally forward each way, diagonally back each way. That's about it. And then there's the next step.
That's pretty cool.
So it's totally spontaneous, and yet there's a structure to it, there's a knowing. And the more you dance, the more you understand the possibilities. And the more the possibilities expand, the more it's planned, and the more unplanned it is, because there's more possibility.
So we're using these analogies, obviously, for living, a life of flow, a life of spontaneity, a life of being at our best. I think that's what we're after here, is like, how do I pull out the best of me, and using spontaneity. Now, some people really like freestyle. But you know what? And freestyle is amazing because you're giving yourself permission to access your talents, your skills, your flow. Sometimes when somebody tries to plan, it shuts them down. Right? They get too technical, too critical.
Yeah.
You've seen this with artists. They're trying too hard and you're like, something's missing.
Yeah.
Right? The energy, the essence, the spirit, the flow is missing. Too technical. And so that's why some of us really love freestyle. But freestyle with structure, I would say framework and the fairy, framework and flow go hand in hand together. So planned spontaneity for me, I know we said this is unplanned, and that's really what it seems like. Oh, you didn't plan for it. He was so in the flow. It just happened in the moment. But I would say, I planned for that for 20 years so that I could be so in the moment and show up. And it can come through me. And you go, wow, that was amazing. It was so spontaneous. Yes and no. Yes and no.
Think a couple more analogies. You're going on a trip. You're going to California. You're like, I'm going to land in San Fran. I want to go to Santa Cruz. I want to go to Monterey. I definitely want to go to Muir Woods.
Why are you saying all these places?
So, okay, we have 3 days. So, we'll take a day here. We'll take a half day here and a half day there, and then drive back. Right. So there is a plan, but along the way, see when there's some structure. Hey, at the end of the day, we're going to end up in Monterey. But along the way, because you kind of know where you're going, to me, that's when the really fun, spontaneous things can come up. Or if you're planning a party, right? Your party would not be very fun if you were like, 6:15, everyone have a drink.
Hey, we've been around that.
6:45, time for an appetizer. 7:10, please throw your appetizers away and sit down at the table.
It's ready for Instagram photo. Yeah, you do not want to be that scripted in your life. There's got to be, to your point of additional analogies, in the military, they have something similar to what you just said. It's called the commander's intent. So they have a goal, they have an outcome. Get in there, save the refugees, get them on the boat, get them home. Okay, SEALs, go. Right? But stuff happens. Whoop! We didn't expect that explosion.
Right.
We didn't expect that thing to happen. And so they have to be spontaneous. They have to improvise. But they still know the ultimate outcome is get the people on the boat and get them home. Whichever new way, you have to do it, but there's still a goal. And so a target, a goal, when we're talking in this way, is really important. Like with the dancing, right? Like the goal is let's rock it out there on the stage and win the trophy, right?
There's no stage, but yeah, I know you're...
You know, on the floor.
On the floor.
He hit the floor.
Hit the floor.
All right.
So...
What do you guys think?
Here's what's kind of fun to think about. Where does intuition fit into this?
That's fun.
Well, for me, I'm the most intuitive when I'm present. When I have space to be present. And if things are too, I'm going to say rigidly planned, and I just know that for myself from a place of fear, and I know that from feeling like other people are trying to control me. So it's very hard to be open to your intuition in those spaces because there doesn't seem to be an invitation for it. And it might just be frustrating when you're in something that is so rigidly planned that it doesn't allow for a miracle and it doesn't allow for guidance and it doesn't allow for intuition. You could just feel irritated. I know that I have. Now I know that I'm giving myself permission in every situation, regardless of the structure and the plan, to hear the miracle, to see the miracle, to breathe the miracle, to be the miracle, to be the possibility, to be the new thing, right? Because if it's a plan, it was planned from a previous moment. And isn't this exciting thing about life is to live in the moment? So it's very different. The plan and the execution of the plan, the actual experience of the thing that you planned can never be the same. Think about a wedding. Why are brides and weddings so stressful? It's because minutia of how everything needs to be according to some book, according to some coordinator. And
to create a perfect moment.
So to have that, see, but you're not in the moment in the plan. The plan is trying to create the moment. If in the moment you're trying to live the past moment that you created when you weren't in the moment, it's never going to be as happy as experiencing the moment on top of the plan. Like being really experiencing the wedding. Like I've said this before, when I was going to walk down with my dad, we were outside, and I had to walk a little way to get to where we'd call it the aisle in the lawn. I said to myself, only be present and never forget. Just be so present. I wasn't thinking, it didn't matter if I fell down. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. I threw all the plans away. And I looked at each guest and I acknowledged, wow, they're here. And I was breathing in their smiles and breathing in their love and spontaneously enjoying that moment that was sitting on top of my dream. Because sometimes a plan can be a dream or it can be a fear. It's up to you.
That's beautiful. I was thrust into that moment. My brain was doing the same thing. We didn't like coordinate, like, okay, when I'm walking down the aisle, be really present so we can have a conversation 14 years later and recall it. But the feeling and the presence of it. So I want to throw this into our conversation, friends.
Plot twist. I love Elise.
Plot twists.
Yeah,
abound.
when something happens that wasn't planned, if you're not in spontaneity, it's going, oh no. Or is it just plot twist?
Well, I used to deliberately in my martial art classes throw plot twists at my students. I called it X Factor. It meant you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the truth. In a real fight, you can have planned a whole bunch in your dojo or your boxing gym for how you're going to deal with it. But you cannot know all the things. You don't know that there's going to be gravel on the ground that you slip on, or that there's a person going to run from behind the car and the other one comes from, but you can try. And so you replicate. We just did scenarios. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? But then deliberately, I would try to put the student's brain in a state of the unknown. And I wanted them to find balance while they were off balance.
Yeah.
I wanted them to find flow when nothing was flowing around them. I was really trying to teach myself and my students to be able to handle any situation, to improvise, to be spontaneous, because life is challenging. Life throws curveballs and plot twists every single day. And the master, if we can go there, has the ability to, no matter what, respond over react. And I think that's just such a beautiful way to live. Now, you might react, but you're able to get back to flow and breath and response faster if you've inoculated yourself, stress inoculated, if you will, from those external stressors and those internal stressors. And maybe there's one more layer. And maybe spontaneity is a state of consciousness that you and I can tap into.
Flow.
There's an essence. It's flow. It's I've been calling it lately the tether. You tethered to that highest perspective, and like no matter what, you're lined up with it, and you allow for it. So this really is the art of being in full presence, so that your greatest talents and gifts can be utilized. Some of the best classes I've ever taught. I have all these years of structure, but I actually don't want to know. I have my presentation, blah, 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 but I have been used streaming, right? And those are the most spontaneous moments, totally unrehearsed, unplanned.
Yeah.
And the best ever.
All right, here's another thing to think about.
Okay, here we go.
So, who made the plan? Right? So first we want to look at that. Is it the neurotic part of me? Or was it the connected part of me? So I'm going to go with it was the connected part of me that made whatever the plan is. Whatever the plan is, what we're going to do one afternoon, everything kind of, sometimes just the day has a plan. Oh, what are you going to do today? Hey, don't forget you have this call and that call, and I'm going to teach, and then the guy's coming to do the refrigerator, and we got to be downtown and meet Fabrizio at this time, and then on the way home there's a couple hours, but don't forget we got to do that email when we get home. Like there's a structure and there's a plan. So I'm going to say that the planning, let's say it's you and the team. It is from a beautiful place, but it was in that moment that the plan was made. So you and that inner knowing are now in this moment living the thing that you planned. And I just want to say again, it's completely different. Even if things go according to plan, they didn't go according to plan. Because the plan was not the experience of it happening in the moment. Now, if in the plan I took the time to add feeling what I want to feel to the plan, and that was the plan, then I'm always going to have success. But if the plan is about the time that it happens, the time the Instagram photo is taken, the time we clear the table, the time we all go home, like all of these like little party things, that's always going to fail. So it's the feeling that we're seeking for. So when you're creating a plan, it might be a good idea to reflect on what feeling am I in? Am I planning from fear, or am I planning from excitement? Am I planning from the feelings that I want to have? We're having a little couple days away next week. There's a feeling that we want to have. It's like time away feelings, just playful, light, loving, adventurous. It doesn't really matter what we do, but we'll make some plans.
Yeah, we will. Planned, unplanned spontaneity. It's such a beautiful thing. You talked about the plan isn't the plan. So isn't planning and practicing and all these things because we desire a particular outcome, which is a particular feeling
And we don't want to be
experience.
disappointed.
And so we want to follow this plan and this structure so that we can get there. But I heard you saying, I think I heard you saying, is get there now and enjoy the planning. Were you saying that at all?
Yeah, feeling it. It should feel good to plan. It shouldn't feel stressful.
So then your future's not over there. You're experiencing it now. And you're like when you're rocking out on your guitar, maybe you're imagining already that you're playing in the coffee shop or something. You're rehearsing, but as if it's already happening. That I think helps enable you to be more spontaneous later because you've already tasted it to some degree, right? At least you're prepping in that way for it. So we used to do these improvs together. And this was when we first got our hands on an iPad. And we were testing.
Some of you attending were there.
We were testing going live a little early before our fitness class. And they made these masks that we could put on so we'd look like superheroes or animals, or like we just got Botox or something. They'd morph your face, or you'd look like you had little glasses or ears, like we were the elves.
Our dogs.
We were dogs.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and they put Coca-Cola, you would be Santa Claus. And like they make all these different characters, and we became the caricature. And we would just improv.
It was so fun because we never picked the filter of how they would change our physical appearance until it was time for class. And I remember there was a part of me going, what if I don't have anything to say? And so there was an excitement about being okay with being spontaneous. And that kind of gave me the clue that, I don't want to be spontaneous because I'm afraid I won't be good.
Or funny.
Or funny or liked. So sometimes we cling to too strongly to a plan or desire because we don't know who we are without it. We're not saying plans are bad. We're saying just like the flow of both.
There's a yin and a yang on this, right? There's the planning so that you can be free. We would put these masks on and these characters would come out, right? It was totally improv. And some of this stuff's pretty friggin' funny. Like we've showed some of them in master classes, masterminds, and people are dying. They're rolling on the floor. They're like, how did you guys come up with these scripts? And here's the thing I want to say. I didn't know that stuff was inside. There was not one word of it that was ever scripted. And this ability for us as humans to be that present to the moment, to be spontaneous, to improvise, you don't know what's inside you until you create the environment for it to come out. And so look for those opportunities, like, have a unplanned adventure one day. Go and do something different, like get creative. Throw yourself into situations that
are outside of your character.
Yeah, that allows something else to come out, because otherwise you never know that there's a dog inside here and he says to Sabrina, stop drinking the Coca-Cola, it's going to make your teeth rot. Or we talk like we're the sexperts and it's like, baby, you look great. I like a little junk in your trunk. And I did not know where any of these characters, I didn't know they were inside me.
But having a mask on in that moment, I guess, opened up the permission
That's right.
to be something beyond what I normally show, right? Because I was a dog that was obsessed with slurping Slurpees or something. But whatever it was, there was something about being hidden behind the mask that was key to exploring different parts of the personality that are already there. And I think that's one of the fun things about performing, acting, or being in a choir or something like that. It lets us express sides of ourselves and colors that we might not get to express in real life. Maybe traits that we've decided we're not going to shine forward as who we want the world to see us as, because some of the traits are not as likable, and which ones we won't. So that is a really fun exercise.
So I just found some of these very fun
The Christmas one, the little
improv
elves.
spontaneous sillinesses. You guys okay if we show you a few? So what would you like to see, Miss Sabrina?
I like the elves and the nerds myself.
Okay. You know those guys.
Yeah, it's not
There's a
needed.
chicken. There's when you were eating.
I mean, sometimes they're just okay.
This one's funny.
Angel Brina,
Yes, Angel Tris.
I feel drawn to the light, but it's not time to go home yet. We have work to do.
But you feel the pull.
But
of the
don't
light.
leave just yet. We have friends, other beings of light awakening. We are here to go home together.
Do you hear it?
I feel it. It's pulling us, but not yet. We must not leave this earthly plane.
Do you guys want another one?
Where are the nerds?
I don't know. Let's see who's the...
It's house lighting. What is that?
I have no idea what's going on here, people. Welcome to the show. All kinds of craziness going on. I think I'm about to start.
That's what used to happen. We had no idea which one was... This one was funny.
Here we go. Come on, everybody. Good morning. Time to get wacky. Gonna take you down to New Orleans. Cause we are the...
But do this chicken.
There's a chicken. Here's a chicken.
Come on in!
Okay. Anyway, we would just get spontaneous and be goofy and silly, and you never know what was going to happen.
Oh, this one's funny.
Oh, this is the Vogue.
They put us on the cover.
This looks like the Christmas edition of Vogue. We should practice before everybody comes to class. Nice pose. I love your antlers.
See if you can find the elves.
Let's strike a strong pose. These guys are funny.
Hi, everybody. We're back. We're the Life Force Nerds. My name is Eugene, and this is Evelyn. Good morning, Evelyn. Are you trying to get a beat?
Good morning. I'm learning to count the beat of the music.
Let me see.
Can you turn it up?
Sure. It's very melodic.
I can't get the concept of starting with 5.
Fine.
With music, they start with a 5, 6, 7, 8, and they go back to 1.
Well, hello. I'm Cleopatra. Welcome to the show. Obviously, I have a very British accent because that's what makes me feel proper and posh. I have on my head a cobra. The cobra protects my mind from all the thoughts of people who judge me for being Cleopatra. My arms are skinny because I only eat grapes. That's all I eat. I'm on a grape fast. I'm Lugman.
And it's August 10th and it's time to wake up and work out and be wacky.
That's my pal right there. Man, she's super cool.
Very cool.
You like the hairdo, man.
Hi, Rita.
Hello, good morning to people.
Hello,
Okay,
So this one. I don't remember that one.
apparently we're going to do just a couple more, and then
They're
this is all
asking in
about
the
how to be
chat.
spontaneous.
Hello and welcome to the show.
Welcome!
I have a very high mustache.
I think it's not a mustache at all. It is a piece of tape to help your allergies.
No, it's a real mustache.
Or it's very long nose hair. Very long nose hair. It's not a mustache. Mustache
It's
goes
not good.
above the lip.
I can't breathe very good. It's giving me allergies. It's not good.
Maybe it's made out of dog.
Look, I can move it like a little, what do you call it, a worm. Look, my mustache is alive. Ah,
Nope, still there.
watch my mustachio.
Welcome to the show, Shirley. We see you.
Yes, welcome.
We are able to see each and every one of you.
Yes, we can see inside. Make sure you put on your...
Hey, Evelyn.
Hi, Eugene.
How are you today?
I'm so happy.
Last one.
I had the best night last night.
Well, tell us what happened.
I am so cool. I did the
You're really
coolest
cool.
thing.
You're the coolest person I know.
I played virtual bingo. Bingo.
Bingo.
bingo.
Bingo! All right. So that is our deep lesson on how to be spontaneous is get the masks going. I don't know if they have them
You know,
anymore.
it was just about being okay.
Just being whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was okay that Tristan didn't twirl the cane. It twirled by itself when you were twirling javelin.
I like Evelyn and Eugene. They're cute together. They love each other so much. All right, kids. Well, thank you for joining us for some laughs.
What's the big takeaway?
The big takeaway is really that you can have both. You can plan and do all that prep work and have your processes, but they set you up for this ability, this state of consciousness that you can enter into, which allows for spontaneity and creativity
Yeah.
and the mystery of life. Like, let's not over-plan our lives.
Yeah.
Plan to be unplanned.
And for me, it was really and constantly every day. It's like redefining what is this concept of being perfect and striving for perfection. The planning as though I can create something not in the moment that is going to create a perfect moment. Yes, but only if in that moment I'm tapped into what is perfect. And it feeling fulfilling. What makes something fulfilling is being alive and juicy with it.
It allows for you to be playful. There's a lot more joy in this state.
Like we're doing an all-day event with a small group in a couple of days, and everyone's bringing some pre-work. Depending on what they bring will totally change how we play with them. So everyone just has to kind of come open and ready to hit the ball and hit it back and see what happens.
It's a skill of mastery. Mastery allows you to step into full-on spontaneity. Such a beautiful thing. All right, dear friends, have an incredible rest of your Thursday. I am
Thanks
going
for
to
laughing
take
with this.
a date night nap. It has been an amazing week. We hope you guys had a great week. We'll be here next week
Hang
for
on.
more joy.
We didn't. Well,
We'll have classes. Those of you in our Life Force
lean
school.
out of the way, all the way, so that I wanted them to see
Oh.
Look at the gnomes.
The little men in the back.
The three men, the three wise men.
The three wise gnomes. Much love, everyone.